What's up, fungal associates? Welcome to Completely Arbortrary, the podcast about trees and other related topics. I am one of your hosts.
Enunciate,
Boy, that's a tough one for me sometimes, Case.
Just throw it out. Hosts.
I'm one of your hosts, Alex Crowson, and I'm here with another of the hosts, Casey Clapp.
Hi.
Do you like introducing yourself, Case, or do you like me introducing you?
Sometimes I really don't mind either way. Honestly, I just don't know. I can't predict when it would be me versus you.
Sometimes I sound like I'm going to do it, and I don't. And then there's like 3 seconds of silence.
Then I got to jump in.
Yeah, but then exactly. Sometimes it doesn't sound like I'm going to do it, and you start talking.
Exactly.
And I introduce you.
Yes.
We should see. This goes back to my whole thing of treating the show as the exact same thing every time.
Uh-huh.
But and then you're a bit of a joker. You love chaos.
Oh yeah, okay, that's
you're
nice.
You're a bit of a joker, and I'm a bit of a Batman, I suppose.
I see. Yes, I do. I gotcha.
People don't like Batman now, Case.
Why not? What did he do?
Because he works with the cops.
Oh God.
People will say he's a cop, but he's a vigilante.
Isn't the very last of the Dark Knights where the cops are after him too? Like he makes himself the hero that Gotham needs, but not the one they deserve. So he's on the wrong side of everything.
Right.
So did they just skip that whole movie?
I don't know. I actually didn't love the Christopher Nolan Batmans. I liked Dark Knight with Heath Ledger.
Yeah, Dark Knight's one of my favorite movies. It's so good.
It's great. That character is very good. But Casey, have you seen The Batman, the new one?
With
Robert Pattinson.
Really?
Casey.
No, I have not.
You haven't seen anything about it?
Huh.
Oh, Casey. It's great.
Is it good?
Batman's the only superhero I even remotely am interested in.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And so I've seen most of these movies.
Uh-huh.
And this is my favorite portrayal of Batman. This is
really?
such old news now. We're
yeah, sorry everyone. This is what happens when you talk to me about popular culture. It's popular culture when it was popular a couple of years ago.
Right, yeah. We're about a year and a half behind.
Huh, no, I haven't seen it.
It's fantastic. He's I would say he's in his mid-20s.
Okay,
he's supposed to be in his mid-20s, or maybe early 30s.
He's new. He's new to the scene.
Yeah,
scene.
He's only been a Batman for about a year.
Yeah, well, because before he was a Bat juvenile.
Yes, that's right. He was a Bat boy.
Yeah, he was.
For the Gotham City Sluggers. Casey, we're here to talk about a tree this week, as we are every episode. And that tree goes by a couple different names.
It does.
We are officially going to call it Sugi.
That's right.
But it is also called the Japanese Crytomeria. Crytomeria japonica is the scientific name.
Japanese cedar, the Japanese cypress.
Right, Japanese cedar, cypress. Okay. Mm-hmm. Is this in Cupersaceae, Casey?
This is in Cupersaceae.
Fantastic.
Well done.
Okay.
I realized, Alex, as we were doing this, because we're talking about logging to a pretty intense extent for this last 4 weeks.
That's right.
This is, of course, our ultimate episode.
The ultimate episode of Completely Arbortrary.
Exactly. There are no more after this. Or actually, no, we're going to use it with a different term. This is the ultimate because it's the best.
Yes. Send this one to your friends.
Yeah, exactly. Tell your family.
Why did they talk about Batman for the first 7 minutes?
We just want to make sure that everyone kind of got hooked.
Oh, yeah. Real grabby among our audience.
Isn't it? Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk about this tree specifically to end this, but it struck me that I think we've done 3 conifers of the 4 that we've covered for logging.
Sounds like a bias.
It is a little bit of a bias, but I would argue it's a bias based on what we tend to use for wood.
Right.
So,
It's a logical bias.
I think so. It's a logical bias. It's a necessary bias, but also I just love conifers, so I'm not unhappy. If this was Completely Arbortrary, all conifers for the rest of this year.
Oops, all conifers.
Oops, all conifers.
Yeah.
I love that.
That'll be our season 7 for 2024.
Okay. Yeah,
Oops, all conifers. Hey, we have so much to talk about: logging, Japan, tradition, the cutting edge.
Yeah.
And I mean that quite literally, Case.
Exactly. Yeah.
But we must do so after the break. We will be right back with Sugi on Completely Arbortrary. Welcome back to Completely Arbitrary. Today we are talking Sugi, aka Japanese Crytomeria, aka Japanese cedar or Japanese cypress, aka Crytomeria japonica.
Exactly. Often in the United States, we just call it the Crytomeria.
The Crytomeria, okay.
Yeah. Which, you know what, Alex? No one knows why it's called Crytomeria. That is actually the derivatives in Greek is kryptos for hidden and meros, which is part. So it's hidden parts. And I can't find why.
Don't touch my hidden parts, Casey.
Right, exactly. It's like, oh my gosh, excuse us. The So it's kind of one of those things. Where it's like, oh, no one knows why. So it's
hidden
just kind of
parts. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Casey, let's imagine that you and I are walking. Hey, let's take a little trip to Japan, Case.
It's a great choice.
And we're walking through how about a plantation? I'm assuming of Crytomeria.
Yes. I would say that's a good place to start, but because I just would prefer not to, we should go to an island off of Japan, which is again a part of Japan, and it's a World Heritage Site with a gigantic old grove of trees.
Oh yeah,
that's supposed to be pretty incredible.
That sounds much better and much more rich of an experience.
Yes. So let's go to Yakishima Island.
We are on Yakishima Island, and we come across the most gorgeous Japanese Crytomeria. We'll call it Sugi.
Yes.
The most gorgeous Sugi you've ever laid your eyes on because it's your first one. Mm-hmm. Let's ID this tree.
Let's do it, Alex.
Or as my Japanese friends might say, wouldn't it be amazing if I just whipped out fluent Japanese?
I was about ready for it. I was like, oh my God, Alex, you practice this. Learn how to say, let's ID this tree in Japanese and just throw it out.
Should we do it?
Sure, if you can.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna Google how to say let's identify this tree. Konokio me wakio.
Okay, first off, Alex, that was great. You did it like you were a native speaker.
Let me try more time. Konokio me wakio. What a great rhythmic little jaunt.
Japanese language is so wonderful.
Yeah.
I think I was actually sitting next to two people speaking Japanese today in a coffee shop.
Wow.
And it was enjoyable. It's just
you
very
love
fun
to hear
listen
it.
to. You do. Okay, Alex, great job. So let's ID this tree. We are walking through a forest, and the first thing we notice is there are big old trees that are evergreen all around us.
Beautiful.
They are in the cypress family, as we noted. Mm-hmm. The thing with cypress family trees is that they tend to have, more often than not, as opposed to things in, say, the pine family, very fibrous, reddish kind of bark.
That's right. I love cypress bark.
It's so beautiful.
Or cedar bark.
Yeah, either one, or these false cedars, right?
Yeah.
So the bark that you see is very red. It has very long strips that it kind of comes off in these big fibrous pieces. And it usually develops these kind of thicker furrows that aren't like really deep, but just deep enough that you're like, wow, yeah, that's a big, furrowed, large, fibrous bark tree.
I might have a question about fibrous bark, Casey.
Oh, okay, please.
Is it more susceptible to fungus?
I know, in fact, it's more fungus resistant, resistant to insect and fungus attack.
Because of its form factor?
I would say probably because of the things that it puts in it.
Okay.
So the bark is produced with these different chemicals that make it unpalatable to these different
tannins and things.
Exactly,
okay.
Precisely. It's what gives it that reddish color, right?
Ah, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you're walking through and you see these big, huge trees. And these trees, some of the biggest, oldest ones can be up to like 7 feet in diameter.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Some of the largest ones. And did I say 7, Alex? I meant 17.
Wow. You should do that more often. That was amazing.
Yeah. I looked down and only saw the 7, and then I was like, wait a second, that feels too small. I should look this up.
17 feet. Okay,
Yeah.
this thing is
One of the
huge.
biggest. Yeah.
Wow.
But now, generally, they don't get that big. That's like, the hugest, biggest, oldest of them.
Bit of an outlier.
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah. And they grow also up to 80 feet tall, these other big ones, because their tops usually kind of break off as they get really large.
Okay.
But young, vigorous trees that have been growing, haven't snapped off in a big thing, if they're in a little bit of a protected valley or something like that, they can grow up to 230 feet tall.
Wow, Casey.
They're big, big trees.
These are these would feel right at home in our Pacific Wonderland
They
here.
totally would.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you should say that because as we talked about with Michael Kaufman way back when.
Yes. Our Brewer Spruce episode where we talked about the Klamath Mountains.
Exactly.
And the endemicism so rich there.
Precisely. That and the fact that it's mostly conifers, right?
Yes, that's right.
So Japan is similar to the Pacific Northwest and kind of this entire Northern California, Pacific Northwest palette of conifers just on the other side of the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
And famously, if you circle around the Pacific Ocean, something like 50% of the conifers in the world grow right there in terms of species.
Interesting.
Yeah, so if you include all the species of Japan, all the species of the Pacific Northwest, going all the way down through Southern California and all the way up through Northern Alaska, and then going across to Russia and down through the Korean Peninsula and Taiwan, all that area is just chock full of unique conifers. It's a fascinating kind of biogeographical thing.
You know what we're going to call it?
What?
The Ring of Fur.
Oh, I did not know you were going to say that, but that was brilliant. I was thinking you were going to go somewhere with that, Alex, but I wasn't sure where you're going to go, and you took it exactly. That was perfect.
Well, thanks.
Well done. So this Ring of Fur is where these trees grow. So you're exactly right in terms of it being quite at home.
Yeah.
In fact, we can plant Japanese Crytomeria here in Portland. There are plenty of them around.
Really? Okay. Are there? I would love to see some, especially for an ID characteristic coming up that I'm very excited about.
Yes. I assume you're talking about the leaves.
Right. So we have. Sorry, that wasn't very supportive.
That was
of me.
fine, Alex. Whatever.
So we have this very emblematic bark.
Yeah.
It's very false cedar bark.
Correct.
And let's talk about those leaves, Case.
Let's talk about them. So these leaves are beautiful, but they grow in a way that to me is most similar to a giant sequoia. And I say that because giant sequoia tend to have leaves that are all shaped. So if you're thinking about the different kinds of leaf types for conifers, there's mainly 3 different sorts. There's the long, skinny, linear ones we call needles.
Yeah.
Sometimes those are a little flattened, a little wider. And other times there are scale-like leaves that are pressed to the stem.
That's right.
So you can't tell the difference between the leaf and the actual twigs until the leaves die and you see literal wood, right?
Yeah, okay.
So the in-between of these needle-like leaves and these scale-like leaves are what we call awl-like leaves.
Oh, right. I forgot about this subcategory.
Right? And that's all AWL.
That's right.
Which is an old kind of pick that you'd use to dig in the ground or something. And it's characterized by having a wide base that then comes to a point. So it's like half pressed to the stem at the base, but then it pops off coming out and becomes more linear and needle-like towards the end.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like a Norfolk Island pine.
Yeah.
Those are all like...
Perfect example, yes.
These sweet little... I mean, they look like needles. They look like regular needles.
Yeah.
Almost like a spruce needle.
Totally, yeah.
But like very short and compact and squishy.
And very kind of tight. These ones aren't squishy in that they are kind of sharp like a spruce, in fact. Like they're an uncomfortable thing to shake hands with. And they are spirally arranged around the stem and everything. So the whole thing looks almost like some... I'm thinking of a kind of dinosaur that has like a spiked tail.
Yeah.
It looks kind of like that, but instead of just being at the very end, the whole tail itself is spiked.
Right.
That's what this reminds me of.
That's great, Case. What a great visual metaphor.
Oh, thank you.
These all like leaves sort of look Araucaria-esque to me.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Sort of like
great.
little platelets.
Yeah, and the big thing with Araucaria, which is the Norfolk Island pine.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, see,
there you
look
go.
at you. You're on the right page anyway.
I didn't even know.
Well done. In that regard, Araucaria tends to be a little bit more wider and flatter as they come out.
Right.
So like you think the monkey puzzle, that's like a big triangle. These are little teeny tiny triangles that end up being way more circular at the end.
More needle-like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what these needles look like, and they tend to be at the end of the twigs where the fertile cones are. They're kind of slightly more pressed. They're a little bit closer down to the stem. They're pointing more forward. As they are younger, the more juvenile foliage, that it's just popping out on a young plant, it's way more outspread. So it's more just like pops out at a wider degree in reference to the main needle itself. Sorry, the main stem itself.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so it's very curious that they have this kind of difference form as they grow. It's not so different that they look like two different trees most of the time.
Right.
But they have developed cultivars that mostly have this juvenile foliage versus some that have mostly this older foliage that's way tighter and more intense.
Cute. Is it a different color too? The new foliage? Like
Yeah.
I love brand new foliage on like a Douglas fir.
Yeah.
It's like this big green thing with like frosted tips.
Yeah, and the frosted tips are like this beautiful lime kind of green. Yeah.
Love it.
I don't think they have quite that big difference because they don't necessarily grow, put on all this new growth like a Douglas fir does. They kind of grow it slowly over the course of the season where they put out one over here, one over there, one over there, one over there. But there are some that are developed so that they have more of a lime green or a yellowish color the whole time.
Oh.
And others that stay very dark green the whole time.
Interesting. It's amazing what we can do with that stuff.
Alex, you are so right. You don't even know how right you are.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love when that happens.
I know. Isn't it great? Yeah. This is my favorite compliment.
Casey, let's get into sort of the money for this tree, in my opinion. Well, the money is really, I guess, the wood, as we'll touch on in a bit.
I'm very curious what your money is on this.
Well, my money's on the cone.
Really?
This cone is incredible.
What?
I love the cone.
Why?
Casey.
Tell me.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
You don't like it?
No, I like it just fine, but I'm curious why you particularly enjoy it so much.
Well, it's peltate.
Well, give us a description a little bit, would you?
It's a peltate cone, like a cypress, right? Okay, standard. But it doesn't have the sort of rounded peltateness. It's like a spiked. If you know, peltate means shield-like.
Yes, yeah.
A shield is often flat. These are not flat shields or even curved shields. These are like spiked shields that stick out at weird angles.
Yeah.
And they're kind of halfway between. I mean, they sort of have like that raptor claw look, like a coulter pine, but they are. If you take a look at it, they are peltate.
Yeah, if you really dial in, which is why it is in the same family.
Yeah,
which is the cypress family.
And I love it. I think it's fantastic. It's very like kind of obscure and abstract.
It looks to me like each cone scale is the mask or the helmet that Sauron was wearing before he was cut down by that guy. Isildur. Yes. That's what it looks like to me. It also looks all together like the hair, which is the flame of that one guy in that one show that everyone knows that I don't know.
Wow, what? The hair of the flame of the hair of the show.
Dragon Ball Fire, Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z.
That's it. You know the guy with the hair, the main character?
That's right.
That's what the whole cone looks like to me.
Totally.
It looks like if you just take that, put it on his head.
It does look like a flaming ball.
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah, because they all kind of angle up and out.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, that is a great description, Alex. Very well done.
Yours that you just said?
No. Ours together. That is the cone. Those are the female cones of the Japanese Crytomeria, the Sugi.
I think it is helpful to lean heavily on these sort of like pop culture references when talking about this cone, because it doesn't. It kind of defies definition in like botanical definition. Like I look at it and I just am immediately reminded of so many things. Yeah, but none of them are a cone.
Let me give you an example from my favorite website, conifers.org.
Yeah, what does it say?
Seed cones are born from the 5th year onward. They are born in groups of 1 to 6, terminal, solitary, or occasionally aggregated, nodding, sessile, globose, or subglobose, rosette-like and resembling open buds. You want me to get into the next phase?
Sure.
Proximal two margins, often convex in outline, or all four margins plus or minus concave in outline, middle part with or without distinct shoulders at widest point, apex usually recurved umbo-rhombic, distally with 4 or 5 up to 7 tooth-like projections, 1 to 3.5 millimeters.
And then you cut to me, and it's you can see inside my head, and it's just white noise from a TV.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Alex fell asleep. That was so calming. Yeah, which is basically my...
Yikes.
This is why I agree with you, Alex. If we just describe it as the hair of the Dragon Ball Z guy,
yes,
everyone's like, oh yeah, totally, distally radial. I totally get it.
I think that's his name, the character's name.
It's distally radial.
Well, Casey, that's the cone. Let's get into what is literally sort of the money of this tree, not figuratively, the wood, because this is a very important logging tree in Japan. And elsewhere, I'm sure. It
is a little bit elsewhere. In India, actually, they plant quite a few, as well as the Azores, which are the islands off of Portugal.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. There you go.
The wood itself is a delightful little thing. And we should note, before we get too far, this is a forest tree, and it is a conical tree, just like you'd see any other kind of large growing timber species, where it is an excurrent growth form, where it has one central stem with all these branches kind of coming out. They tend to go out and then kind of droop down just a little bit with the twigs.
A little hemlockish.
A little tiny bit, but not a whole lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
It smokes a little bit of weed.
Just the tiniest bit. Yeah. Right.
Just to sleep every once in a while.
It doesn't inhale, is what we're saying.
It holds it in its mouth.
Yeah. So it is a tree that is grown and has been grown for centuries for its wood. The wood is this dark red, kind of very aromatic product, which is already a little bit decay resistant. It's insect resistant. It's got this gorgeous kind of reddish tone that fades a little bit to kind of a normal woodish tan brown.
Yeah, it's got kind of like a pine yellow.
Exactly, yeah, especially when it gets dried.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is, it smells so good and it's so flexible and strong. It's like one of those perfect trees. It's very similar to the Douglas fir in that regard, where it's a tree that has all the right attributes to be really good for a lot of different things. Not only that, but they grow it in certain different ways that they can make tree A grow in this southern or tree B grow in this northern section, and they grow just slightly differently. This is one thing I was going to tell you about, that they have a lot of different trees that they can grow. The Japanese, of course, are famous for making cultivars of trees in different varieties. Japanese maples, Japanese cherries, Japanese Crytomeria.
Okay. It's sort of the conifer of that zone.
It is, yeah. Okay. They have over 100 different cultivars. Most of which aren't even available in the United States.
That's amazing.
Isn't that wild?
It's like Pokemon.
Yeah. Oh, God. And they also invented that. So the Japanese just got everything.
The Japanese love cultivars, from little pocket monsters to big conifers.
To big conifers. You got it right. So they grow, they have different cultivars to grow in northern sections, in southern sections.
Wow.
Cultivars that are more aesthetically pleasing, that have, a different color foliage. Some that turn almost completely bronze gray or bronze reddish in the wintertime.
Wow.
And then turn green again when they start growing.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So it's like, you name it, they've grown a cultivar for it.
That's amazing.
The big thing is, they started doing this thousands of years ago, just like they did with all the rest of their trees. So they were like,
that's so fascinating, Casey.
Isn't it wild?
It seems like something that depends on modern science.
You're right, yeah.
But I guess ultimately it's just strapping one tree to a next and seeing what happens.
Letting it go, yeah. It's like, hey, let's breed you two together and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just have the patience and the kind of forethought to do that over and over and over for thousands of years. So the thing with the wood and the history of Japan is kind of the big thing that I want to talk about today.
Yeah.
We've been talking about logging this entire time, for the last 4 weeks at least. So we wanted to end with this for two reasons. One, my friend Rainey reached out, a good old friend from college.
That's right.
And Rainey works for a company called Nakamoto Forestry. So she reached out and said, hey, would you like to come talk, or, could you tell us about the Sugi? And I was like, the Sugi? What do you mean? What are you talking about? She said, but she didn't know the scientific name. And so, of course, we use scientific names because no matter what language you're speaking, you use a scientific name, it's the same across the board.
Right.
So I tried to figure it out. I just kind of Googled it. And it's like, this is Japanese Crytomeria. Yeah, I would love to talk to you about this tree. Me being the tree guy and her working for this company, we wanted to do a little bit of a collaboration.
Yeah.
So I also went over there and I interviewed their local, I guess it would be their North American headquarters, showrunner. His name's Bill Bielek. And so we chatted, and I got all this lowdown about what it is that they do with the Sugi, which is called Yakisugi.
Yakisugi. So Yakisugi is the word for the method that they process this wood?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Yakisugi.
It's also known as Shosugi-ban, which literally translates. The second one's kind of a Chinese. It's a mistranslation because Chinese and Japanese, the Japanese language was brought over from China, but then they kind of laid it over in the way he describes it is you take one language and you apply it to a different place, and it doesn't quite work perfectly, so they have little changes here and there.
Sure.
So that's kind of what happened here. Of course, then the languages, go their own separate ways. So there was someone who translated it into English, but looked at a dictionary for Chinese.
Oh, funny.
So now we know it here as Shosugi-ban. You go to Japan, they know it as Yakisugi, and they're like, what the heck is Shosugi-ban?
Right.
So it's kind of funny, but it's all the same thing.
What does Shosugi-ban translate to?
It just means burnt wood.
Burnt wood.
Yes, burnt wood plank.
Burnt wood plank.
Yes. So that is what Yakisugi means. It literally means burnt cedar.
I love where this is going.
Isn't it great? So what they do is they are a wood product manufacturer.
Right.
That makes this specific kind of cladding, which is the outer surface of a building. It's
Cladding.
It's like the clad, you clad something in.
Oh, like ironclad?
Exactly, yeah. So that means that you have a ship that's covered in iron. So
okay.
This is the same thing. So cladding is what you put on the outside of a building to protect it. Your shingles, cedar shingle siding, that's the same thing. So what they do is they make this specific kind of wood that is burnt, and they use this same exact tree. So in terms of logging, they have been doing this for a long time. We should take a real quick step back.
Okay.
Logging in Japan, Alex, has been done for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Just like everywhere else in the world, logging in such a small place where it's an island nation. So they have gone through and cut down all of their trees, their old trees, thousands of years ago.
Is this pre-Germany? We talked about Germany inventing sort of logging.
Exactly.
This is post-German. Maybe they happened in tandem.
Yeah, it kind of happened in tandem, but I might say that the Japanese were kind of doing it first.
Wow.
So this is going to be a fun digression before we get back to Yakisugi.
Okay. So
thousands of years ago, they cut down all of their trees, all their old growth forests. Similar to Europe, similar to the Middle East, they had trees.
Japan.
They cut it down. Yeah.
Okay.
Japan is similar to these places.
Yes.
So they have been planting them back, or they've just been growing back naturally. And at one point, they kind of ran out of seedlings. They're like, "Well, what are we going to do? We can't plant any more of these trees. Like we're still developing our kind of horticulture trade.
Got to be careful.
Got to be careful. You can't just always throw things at the wind and cut them down and hope everything comes back." So the people that were, and this is during kind of the shogunate period, which is this kind of, essentially think about it as medieval Japan.
Oh, great.
Yeah. If you ever get the chance to listen to anything about Japanese history, it's a fascinating thing.
It's honestly, it's a complete blind spot for me in terms of my historical knowledge. In fact, most of Asia is a big blind spot for me, but anytime I am, even time I even briefly like pass Japanese history, like free way of my life. I'm like, oh my God, that's so interesting.
I gotta stop there.
Yes, and I never end up doing it, but I would love to. Japan in particular.
Yeah, well, we don't have time to get into it.
Oh, come on.
Alex, you're the editor here. You're the one telling me don't get into it. I'm just kidding. We really don't have time.
I'll do some research on my
yes, okay, there you go. Go Google it. So because they were spared by colonization, their traditional culture has kind of been a through line in their existence up until today. We described it earlier as Japan kind of does traditional things in a modern way.
Yeah.
So this is kind of where it started. Maybe 1,000 years ago, they cut down all of their trees. Once they cut down all their trees, they're like, okay, we have this new fancy form of architecture that we really love. How can we grow our trees to develop this kind of architecture, which is mainly a very stylized, straight thing? Think of a tea room kind of thing where you have a tea ceremony, a very ceremonial kind of space.
Okay.
They wanted to have perfect small poles, like little pillars to hold up their buildings.
Yeah.
And they use those also for the rafters.
That's right.
So they're like, okay, well, we ran out of trees. We can't plant them. If we do, we have to wait, 30 years. What are we going to do? So what they did is they got pretty creative, Alex.
Wow.
Have you ever heard of Daisugi?
Daisugi.
Yes.
No, but it has the word sugi in it.
It does.
Which is important to us.
It is quite important. It translates as platform cedar. Daisugi.
Okay.
Give that a quick Google.
This is, Casey, Daisugi, the 600-year-old Japanese technique of growing trees out of other trees, creating perfectly straight lumber.
Yeah.
That is such hilarious optimization.
Isn't it?
It's amazing.
So for those of you who are not able to look this up, essentially, they grew a sugi in the form of a bonsai and had it grow out. So almost you had these platform branches where if you look like you're holding up plates in your hand.
Yep, a waiter carrying platters to the table.
In either hand.
Yeah.
But imagine you have 40 different hands and 40 different platters. Each one of those has a straight tree growing right up from them.
Yeah.
So it looks like you're balancing all these sticks on these little platters.
You've almost surely seen photos of this.
Yes.
On Facebook with an inspirational quote that says, support each other or something.
Yes. Oh, just makes my heart cringe. We should make a series of those. I think we've already said that several times.
I'd love to.
Well, so this is something that I actually got a lot of people messaging me and the podcast saying like, what do you think about this like really super sustainable way? Because they bill it as a way to grow trees without cutting down a tree.
Sure.
We're going to have a Patreon episode where I just destroy that because you're cutting the top of the tree down and you're doing the same thing essentially that is forestry. You're just doing it with smaller trees that are growing on a platform of a bigger tree. So you're not cutting down one tree, you're cutting down 1,000 little branches of a tree.
Right.
So it's like
that's not a tree.
Yeah, it's not quite the same. It's just as sustainable as growing anything else. They got around it because they can grow these small diameter things that are grown for maybe about 20 or 30 years. Then they can regrow them from the same tree. So you're still cutting down the forest. You just start from a root system, and it's essentially the same as what Europeans call coppicing.
Yeah, okay.
Or pollarding.
Yes, I'm familiar with these things.
So they essentially...
Oh, yeah. Can we briefly just make the connection there?
Please.
So coppicing being, I believe, take a willow, for example.
Uh-huh.
Or an apple.
Yep.
You just chop a chunk off the top of a big branch.
Yeah.
And it sprouts a million little shoots.
You got it.
And then I think farmers would do this. And then you chop off those shoots and feed them to your livestock.
Right. You get fodder, or you use it for like the actual little stems if you're making a basket or something like that. Wicker is a great example.
When a child is asked to retrieve a switch, that's the first place they'd go.
Yes, right before they get beat with it. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, Casey. Thank you for adding that.
Oh, well, Alex, I just want to make sure, I just want to make sure where you're going with this.
This is the old time. God, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's like when you get a child to go get a Switch.
Yeah.
Because his sister was evil today.
I'm not doing it. I'm just talking about it.
Oh, yeah. You know what? We have a dark past. We sure do.
Yeah. We have a dark present and a dark future, Casey.
Yeah, we sure do. Yeah.
But an extremely dark past.
Oh,
it's all varying
how
shades of gray,
things?
isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's varying shades of dark gray.
Yeah, ugh.
Well, we are talking about this fun idea of how to grow a tree on trees.
So you're saying it's more sustainable because people will say it's not really cutting down a tree.
Yeah.
It's cutting down like limbs of tree. It's cutting limbs of trees that grow in the form factor of a tree.
Exactly. They're grown as if they are little trees off of the platform of a big tree.
Right.
It looks fake. Like it looks 100% like someone photoshopped straight trees on top of a flat growing tree.
Yeah.
So it's fine, but the sustainability-ness, like it's a sustainable harvest. Yeah, but kind of, but not really. Let's get into that some other time.
Okay.
The point is, they would do this, and they applied the same techniques as growing bonsai trees to growing big trees.
Wow, big bonsais.
Exactly. And they said, okay, well, let's just apply these techniques to these trees. We'll grow these poles, and now even to today, they still employ this same technique to get these perfectly sized traditional poles that they then use to make certain kinds of architecture.
Wow.
So it's a really interesting way that they basically creatively decided that they... So it's this really...
keep it. Not to make you look bad. I just think it's I love
creatively.
I love pronouncing things in a different way. It's
okay,
fun.
Good.
Yeah.
So they use
creatively
done technique
yeah.
to grow these really interesting trees.
That is very interesting. It's very like it's very maximal in terms of its minimalism almost, you know. It's
right?
like so efficient that it seems at first glance you're like, oh, it's kind of silly. Like they could just grow trees in the ground.
Yeah.
But it is it's stunning. I mean, it's a really interesting technique.
Yeah. And now it's been used in like gardens and things like that. So it's now also this aesthetic bit that they've added in because it's a part of their tradition.
Because it just looks pretty too.
It does. It really does. So this is one form, Alex, of how the Japanese way back when, because they initially developed this technique of growing trees in the 14th or 15th century. So they essentially said, okay, we got a problem. How are we going to figure this out? And then they use this really creative kind of like, okay, let's borrow from thing A, apply it to thing B, but at a bigger scale, and boom, there we go.
Yeah.
They've also done that with a wood product that we were talking about earlier. So this is the second weird kind of traditional thing that you can do that is not quite this, let's say sustainable in quotes form of forestry.
Yeah.
This other sustainable way to do forestry is done by this Nakamoto Forestry Group. And what's interesting about what they do is that they are in it for the big wood product, which is the large trees that have big saw kind of timber that you then put on the outside of a house.
More plantation style grown, potentially, right?
Yes, 100% true. And the difference being you can't grow big trees like that in a Sugi fashion.
Right. All those ones are specifically for those poles.
Yes,
right? Okay.
Precisely.
Those are pole trees.
Yes. So you can't, the application is limited. So what they do is they grow these trees and they cut them down and they harvest them and they mill them and then they burn the heck out of them.
Yeah.
Which I was like, wait, what? It's fascinating, Alex.
This is like there's a trend on food TikTok, I'll say.
Okay.
Like in the genre of food TikTok.
Yeah.
Where people will just use a blowtorch for like to melt cheese.
Oh, what?
It's like just put it into the broiler. You know that's better.
Wow. So it's just like almost doing it to do it.
It's doing it to do it because it looks pro and cool, but it's like very bro chef kind of thing.
Bro chef. Yeah,
like, bring out the blowtorch to melt this provolone, right?
Burn this provolone.
When they know it's better to just put it under a broiler.
Yeah, and honestly, the thing that tells me that's bro is that they're using it on provolone right off the bat. More like brovolone. What's up?
Wow, Casey. There's our Instagram reel soundbite. Is it that same technique where they can't literally throw the wood in a fire, it'll turn into charcoal?
Correct.
So they have to burn the outside of the wood, I'm assuming with a blowtorch?
Well, they put it actually in a big kind of furnace thing.
Okay.
And they push it through almost like Quiznos again. They had that big kind of heater.
Right, the conveyor belts under the oven. Yeah.
Exactly. Similar to that is what they do.
Okay, interesting.
So it goes through this process, and then at the end, it's literally charred on the outside. Like it looks like it's just a burnt log.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, Alex. When you put that on the outside of a building or you just put it out in the world, two things are really important. The first, it's insect and decay resistant even more so.
Amazing.
So the wood itself, already there. Now, because it has this big char layer on the outside, nothing goes through that char layer. So it is like an extra layer of protection.
It just doesn't know that there's like wood underneath to get at.
Exactly.
It's just like, oh, this is burnt dead wood.
And it also just doesn't taste very good, probably.
Oh, I see.
So after that, it then is they take a brush and they kind of make it look nice and smooth a little bit, and they make it look really nice. And then you put it up, and it's fire resistant as well, because in order to light that char on fire again, you have to go up several hundred degrees in Fahrenheit in order to reignite it to then burn the rest of the wood that is underneath.
Wow.
So it becomes like this extra superhero level wood. And they will put it on the side of their building, and it's like this beautiful dark black color.
Yeah.
It's got aesthetics, which is like, definitely a very Japanese thing. They want it to look really good, but they also want it to be very functional.
Yes.
So this is like hyper functional, really aesthetically pleasing. And on top of that, they work in this forestry area that is traditionally handed down from the at this case, it's the father to son to grandfather kind of thing.
Okay.
I guess I should say more correctly, grandfather
what an
to
interesting
father
trajectory.
to son. That's really weird. The guy really gets started late in his career, but he does it.
You can get into this at any age.
At any age. Don't worry about it. So they end up, Alex, putting these things together, and the way it's described to me is on these small forest plots. Most of these places are passed down from generation to generation to generation. A lot of these trees were planted after World War II because they, again, after several thousand years ago or several hundred years ago, cut down all the trees. In World War II, they did it again. Raised all their hillsides because they needed to have resources for their war effort, replanted them afterwards.
Okay.
And now they've turned that into this sustainable harvest because they are also thinking, well, I have to pass this down to my son and his son and so on and so forth.
I see.
So we can't just go through and destroy all of our forests.
Oh, man. Don't you wish that same logic applied in the United States?
Don't you wish, Alex?
Woof.
Yeah.
How beautiful.
It would be such a delight.
Yeah.
We have a long way to go. But
or we could just move to Japan.
Or we could just move to Japan. Yeah, one of the two. It's, hey, guys, can we just do everything over here now? We like you way better.
That's very interesting, Casey. That this process is like it uses. When we've talked about this, I think when we were talking about the premise for this episode,
yes,
it's a very traditional, old style way of doing things.
Yeah, right.
But it's also like beautiful and modern,
right?
And like you've never seen anything like it.
You really haven't, and it's just like so unique and interesting and kind of counterintuitive. At one point.
Burn the wood, right?
So it's less flammable,
right?
Yeah.
And
the whole thing, all of this is based around this one tree, the Sugi.
It's amazing.
Like they have taken this tree and they have used all these techniques. Okay, in our horticulture zone, we make beautiful flowering cherries. Let's apply that same technique and skill to make the perfect forest tree.
Wow.
Everywhere in our nation. Once we're done with that, let's then use this other technique for this beautiful bonsai to create this other fancy technique to produce this certain kind of wood.
Right.
Then let's take our technique of, okay, we've destroyed our forests, so let's be really diligent and patient and figure out what the best way is to regrow it and make that a sustainable thing and apply it to our forestry system at large.
That's great.
So before we get any further, I should note, this is just this one example, this one company. There is, similar to every place in the world, there are industries that are just pumping things out, right? In Japan too. So just the same as in Europe, just the same as in the United States.
Right.
But this is an example of where you can take something that is traditional and bring it up to an industrial level and make it work.
Yeah.
And they are expanding out their rotations. So instead of being 80 years, it's to 100 years. So you have even more carbon stored, even bigger trees. And they're trying to really make sustainability a forefront part of their business, aside from this traditional manufacturing at the same time.
I love that case.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Tradition with a modern spin. You gotta love it. Casey, before we go to break, a long time ago, I love thinking about my future home. I'm a aspiring homeowner.
Okay.
And I just love the idea of like making it exactly how I want it.
Oh.
And I was, I do research from time to time, just look at homes on Instagram.
Yeah, you watch the Remodel Brothers or whatever.
Right, the Remodel Brothers.
Yeah.
I watch $1 million listings. I really don't.
Okay,
but
smash this home to make it better.
It's a long title. And a long time ago, I saw this black wood, and I was like, what is that? It's so gorgeous.
No way.
Saw this home paneled with black wood.
Yeah.
And it was Yakisugi.
Yes, it was.
And I had no idea.
I'm so happy you did this. While talking to Bill, he brought this up where no one knew what it was for the longest time. So when Americans saw it and designed houses with this same kind of unique Japanese style,
Just paint it black.
they did. They literally just painted it black.
That's so funny.
And it took someone a long time, like researchers, like college students, to be like, what exactly are they doing?
Yeah.
And realize they're burning it
Fascinating.
to create this thing. Yeah.
Hey, before the internet, before we could just share things in an instant. I mean,
you had to get on a boat and ask questions to real people.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like how the Swedish came over and watched American baseball, and then they went back and they have their own fucked up version of baseball
Did they
now.
really?
Yeah.
Oh my
gosh. That's a great tale.
Oh yeah. Okay. For another time.
Yeah. Well, Casey, that was our discussion of the Sugi. Very well done. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got a review, we got a game, we got a Q&A. As always, we will be right back with more Completely Arbortrary. Welcome back. Did we get that on the tape? I think we got Casey saying you're the best.
No, definitely. No, I don't think there's any record of that.
Oh, fuck.
Sorry. Alex, you're the best.
Thanks,
just to make
Casey.
sure. I don't want to.
God, it was dripping with falsehood.
It was not. How dare you?
We're fighting now. We don't fight. We don't really fight.
No, but I do like every now and then you do declare it on the show.
That we have a beef?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have to stick with that.
I love declaring a beef.
Yeah, I bet you do.
That's so... Okay. You know what? Fuck you.
Wow. Wow. Sometimes you think you know this guy. You just think you do.
I love you, Casey.
Love you too, Alex.
Let's
we up
review
to?
this tree, huh?
Let's do it. The Sugi
The Sugi.
tree.
Here's how it works.
It be.
All right.
Well, you had the opportunity.
The rule of fours, the Casey Clapp special.
You must rhyme 4 times or none at all.
Here's how it works. We're going to give some final thoughts on this Sugi tree and then give it a rating of 0 to 10 golden cones of honor. Casey, as our resident expert, we will begin avec toi.
Right. So here is what I think about this tree. When I initially learned about the Crytomeria, as I was initially taught to me, I was like, this is a fine tree. Ow. Oh, this tree sucks. Because it's not a comfortable tree.
It's pokey.
It's very pokey.
In terms of getting to know a tree, it's going to bite you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It unfortunately does not grow too large. I bet you that we could find a cultivar that really crushes it in the Pacific Northwest. But unfortunately, I think I've seen a few, maybe up in Seattle, there's some big ones that I recall. But they're lovely, beautiful trees. I don't know why. Whenever I think of something in the cedar family, I usually think of it being a pleasant tree.
Wow.
Juniper might be a bit of an outlier because it has really sharp needles and everything.
I see.
But most of the stuff that I think of in this family I guess giant sequoia is another one. They're soft and easy to hang out with.
These are the trees that you can grab gently from the base of the limb and just pull your hand along, and it feels like a little hand massage.
Exactly. It's very lovely, you know. Fir trees are another one like that, where it's just nice to hold on to them.
Love fir trees.
The Crytomeria, I think, the Sugi, kind of wronged me as a child, as a younger tree enthusiast.
Wow.
And I decided that I didn't really like it.
Your origin story, speaking of Batman villains.
Exactly. So
really
I
Joker.
I should just call myself, though, maybe I should call myself the Sugi man, because didn't he like call himself the Batman to like confront his fear of bats?
Yes, that's right, Case.
Yeah. So I don't have a fear. I'm just kind of like, oh, you're fine. Like I just
You have to become the Sugi in order to respect it.
I get exactly. So I need to just go become a Sugi. But I don't know, for whatever reason, this is a tree that I've always been just so meh about.
Oh, sure.
And I would always think there's a better choice. Most of the time, that would be actually the incense cedar. I love the incense cedar. I think it's just the coolest tree. They fill the same niche for me.
Okay.
But I have to say, I love that you can plant it almost anywhere, because there's so many different cultivars that the Japanese have made.
Right.
And that other people, I'm sure, have also like helped add to that kind of richness of differentiation. So you can plant them almost anywhere and they will grow pretty dang well, depending on which variety you find. So I think I'm gonna try to play this one a little bit straight, because I don't think my opinion is the best opinion. You don't hear me say that often, Alex, to be very clear.
Wow.
I think that this tree is probably worth easily a 7.0.
Hell yeah.
I'm just going to go straight there.
Love it.
Anything below, when you get down to the sixes, it's kind of me giving a nod to it being overplanted, not that interesting, maybe something else.
Well, I don't know if we can say overplanted for a lumber tree. It's
exactly, yeah. I mean, other than maybe...
By definition.
Yeah,
you know?
Possibly the radiata pine. I think we might be able to say
That's
that.
true, yeah.
But this is also another extremely common tree planted in all the forests of Japan. Like this and the hinoki and the saguaro cypress. Those are like the three big ones. The hinoki's definitely number 2 in terms of the wood products industry.
Sure.
So I want to give it credit for being this amazingly traditional tree, but at the same time, it's not a tree that jumps out. It's like saying eating some bland, unflavored thing is good because it's traditional. No, it's traditional and it's bad.
Right. Traditional things don't have to be revered and loved and good.
It's like saltless beans. Here, you eat this. It's tradition. It's like, no.
Sounds bad.
So I think I love Yakisugi. Like,
Yeah.
I also would love to have that on the outside of my house.
Man, every time you say it, I think
house.
you're going to say yakisoba.
Oh, yeah, the noodles?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if that means like burnt noodles.
I mean, they are stir-fry noodles.
That's the thing. Okay, yeah, actually stir fry. That's, oh my gosh, yeah.
Did we just unlock some knowledge on our own?
I think we did, but I think I also had that somewhere, because I think Bill said something about that in our interview.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we unlocked it, even though it was there to be unlocked.
Yeah, we uncovered it.
Yeah. Well, so I love the traditionalness of the tree. I think you should plant it. If there's another option, I probably would say you should probably plant that one too.
Sure.
But it's a cool tree. I love so much about it that I have to like push myself forward to enjoy it, because once I start to enjoy it, I know I really like it.
That's great, Case.
That's where I'm at with this tree.
A 7.0 is a perfect score for how you describe it.
Thank you. I very much appreciate that.
7.0 Golden Clones of Honor for the Sugi from Casey Clapp.
That's right. Alex Crowson, I'm
Yes,
sure you
sir.
have an opinion on this tree as well.
I do.
I would love to hear it.
I am a newcomer to this tree.
Okay.
I knew not one thing about it. I didn't even know it existed until we started talking about covering it.
Hey, you called it the nani yesterday.
I know. What a blunder. Sugi, nani, or noni.
That's so good, though.
So I love Daisugi.
Yes.
I love Yakisugi. I think that is a gorgeous treatment of this wood. And I love that it not only makes it look really good, but it's magnificently functional. And my favorite things in this world are beautiful and functional.
Yeah.
I'm not a fashion over function.
Yeah.
I'm not a function over fashion.
Okay.
I don't buy ugly, comfortable shoes just because they're comfortable, but they're like just gray rubber.
And you don't buy shoes that are overly fashionable
and really uncomfortable. Yeah,
okay,
I look for a shoe that looks nice and is comfortable.
Now,
right?
I should note you wear green Crocs a lot.
You know what?
Okay, I was not trying to throw any shade, Alex. I was merely asking where on that spectrum they lie.
The green Crocs. Listen, I'm getting offensive here. I don't need to justify my green Crocs. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Okay.
By the way, that color green is gorgeous. It's called grass.
I would not see your feet if you were wearing that in grass.
It's true.
In the next couple weeks,
it'd be like a green screen, like literally.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry I brought it up, Alex. I'm sorry I brought it up. Yeah. Fashion and function. You were saying fashion and function.
Yeah, my favorite things in this world are fashionable and functional together, and I think that the Yakisugi really just exemplifies that. I think the cone is great. Let's talk about the tree itself. The cone, awesome. Mm-hmm. I love a peltate cone. I think they're really interesting and curious. And this peltate cone also has this extra bit of definition on top
flare.
Of it. Yeah, it's got the flare case.
Yeah, this is so perplexing to me. Like you talked about the radiata pine last week.
Yes.
You love that cone.
Yeah.
It's so different than this cone that when you were so stoked about it, I was like, is he looking at the right cone?
I'm a man of many cones.
You are, certainly. My God.
That explains your surprise when I said I liked this cone.
Yes.
You were like, really?
Mm-hmm.
That's why.
Yeah.
Well, Casey, I'm a surprising guy. I wrote down during your review, you said this tree is so cultivated, cultivard. I wrote down, this tree will meet you where you are.
Ooh, yeah.
We talk about trees that will like if you have a stomach ache or a headache or a burn or it'll just kind of like the sassafras will just sort of like treat what ails you. Mm-hmm. This tree will please you.
Yeah.
No matter your aesthetic tendencies or the climate of where you live.
Very interesting.
For that reason, I'm giving the Sugi an 8.5 Golden Cones of Honor.
8.5. My goodness, that's high ranks.
That's what the sharks say. For that reason, I'm out.
Yeah. Wow.
But I'm in.
But for that reason, you're in. Jeez. That's
8.5.
Okay, 8.5 Golden Cones of Honor by Alex Crowson, the fashion and functional man of the podcast.
Wow, I really appreciate that, Casey.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, I know it and I see it. I am way more on the function side.
Yes.
Of anything, for sure.
If I had to lean one way, it's fashion.
If I had to lean one way, it'd be function for sure.
Yeah. Well, hey, that was what makes us such a great pair.
That's why we
Casey.
can walk together in all seasons.
You know what? Beef squashed.
Yes. All right.
And with that was our review of the Sugi. A great tree. Let's move on to our game, Casey.
Let's do it.
In honor of Japan, where this tree hails, we are going to play a very special round of the family tree.
Oh, yeah.
It's a common condition in this day and age for Casey and Alex to anthropomorphize a tree. Is it Zeus of Olympus or Saruman? Some people say it's even Admiral Thrawn. Deep cut. There must be some kind of rules for this stupid game. But all we can see is an opportunity for a segment on completely arbitrary. Maybe Jean-Luc Picard is an elm of some kind. And the kid from Up is a Ponderosa pine. There's room for yous and Sugis. There's room for the host to disagree. It's a podcast game called The Family Tree. All right, Casey, this is The Family Tree. In this game, we choose a set of characters from some canon or other. Mm-hmm. For instance, it could be the Greek pantheon of gods, or it could be the cast of a sitcom. We then choose a tree to best personify those characters based on their physical appearance, their personality, and their overall vibe.
Exactly.
And in honor of the Sugi, we are going to cover the characters from one of the best things to come out of Japan in ever, Mario.
Wow. Everyone's like waiting to hear what he's going to say. Do all the characters from Kobe beef. Starting with Kobe beef.
Wagyu A5. What do we think, Case? Yes, Casey, the characters of the Mario games.
Oh, I love Mario.
Created by Shigeru Miyamoto, the greatest, I would say the greatest creative mind in video game history. One of the greatest creative minds ever, period, for any genre of anything.
Wow. Oh my God, that's high marks.
The man invented Zelda, my man.
Yeah, it is very fair.
Two of basically the two biggest video game franchises came out of this man's brain.
Wow, that's true. I never gave that. Wow.
Just tremendous.
Holy shit.
I love Miyamoto-san.
Okay, all right.
Okay, Casey. So
what do we got, Alex?
Let's start with
Luigi. What
perfect.
do we think?
I love it. Let's start with Luigi.
Okay, I was just assuming you were going to start with Mario. So I wanted to put Luigi where he deserves.
I'm going to roll with the punches here.
Oh wow, okay.
Oh, you're a Luigi stan, huh?
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of just a contrarian view.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You're sort of the Luigi of the podcast. No, if anything, I'm the Luigi.
Wow.
You're the Mario. But let's get into Luigi, Casey. Let's not even go down that road.
We don't want to start our beef. Yeah, we don't want to get into our Kobe beef again.
Yeah, when we have a Japanese related beef, it's a Kobe beef.
Kobe beef, yeah.
Great. Luigi, he's a bit of a scared guy.
Yeah.
Luigi's whole personality is that he's frightened of everything.
Yeah.
He is the brother. Here's something to consider. He's the brother of like a very popular, cool, adventuresome guy.
Yeah.
Right.
He's also a plumber.
But I like that he sort of lives in the shadow of Mario, who's the main character, right?
Yeah, right.
He's green, or he wears green clothing.
He wears green. Yeah, he's got a big mustache.
Yes, big mustache. And he's mostly just afraid of everything. He deals with ghosts.
Oh.
Have you heard of Luigi's Mansion, Casey?
Yeah, I think so.
The series of games where Luigi is the main character, they're all based around him being in haunted houses.
Oh,
and fighting ghosts.
Horrible. Okay, so you say his thing is he's afraid of them?
Yes.
Or he also has to confront and deal with them.
Yes, exactly.
Ooh, that's hard.
Much like a Batman.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So Casey, what do you think? I don't know why, but my first instinct is like a Western hemlock.
That was mine too, Alex.
Are you kidding me?
I swear to God. Because it's like the tree that everyone's like, oh, is that a Douglas fir? And was like, oh, no, that's a Western hemlock.
Yes.
It's kind of second best to everything.
Yes.
Even though it's great and tall in its own right.
Holy shit.
All right, we got to go with that.
And it's full of ghosts.
Oh my God. Look at that.
All right, well, Western hemlock it is.
Wow,
it's unanimous.
Okay, that was incredible. Yeah.
Amazing.
Wow.
Let's see if we can keep that streak going, Casey.
Ooh, okay.
Let's go with the heroine of the series, Princess Peach.
Okay, this is going to be a hard one.
Traditionally, she's in the older games, she's the damsel in distress.
Yeah.
My favorite is Super Mario Odyssey, which I will die on this hill is the best Mario game to ever exist.
Wow.
On the Nintendo Switch. It is perfection.
Huh.
And yes, 64 is great. Sunshine, whatever. Odyssey is chef's kiss.
Huh. I guess I've never played it, so I don't have a really good perspective. Like, I'm skeptical, but I'm not at the same time.
It's just the culmination of so many good Mario mechanics. And its whole thing is that you're traveling around the globe. It's this like globe-trotting adventure.
Oh,
right?
I see.
In a little spaceship, you go around the globe.
Wow, I do like spaceships.
And Princess Peach is like a traveler in that one.
I see.
She shows up in all these different places. She's like traveling around her independent phase.
Exactly. Well, yeah. She got saved, but she's also like, you know what? This is bullshit. I could have saved myself.
That's right, Case.
Okay. All right.
So she's pink.
Yeah.
It's her big thing.
Exactly.
She's royalty.
She is royalty. She's golden.
She's golden.
So she's got golden hair.
Yes, she has golden hair.
Okay.
She has yellow hair.
How else did you think of royalty as being golden?
Royalty. Oh, yeah, of course.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
She is like kind of at the will of a bunch of other things happening, you know?
Yeah.
She doesn't have a lot of agency, I would say.
First thing I came up with, you want to just say it on, do you have anything in mind, I should ask?
A peach tree.
Okay, too low, Alex.
Low-hanging peaches.
Yes. All right, I was thinking ginkgo.
Oh, yeah.
Reason I'm thinking ginkgo, color, obviously.
Yep.
The other thing is that it's very much royalty. It's planted near shrines and things.
Yeah.
It's known for all these different things. And it doesn't have any agency because it's probably extinct in the wild. So we have to plant it wherever it needs to be planted. So it's kind of another level.
That's great, Case.
Okay, what do you think?
I personally, sometimes I like to be a little on the nose, and I like peach, but I will totally go with you on ginkgo. I think that's a great choice.
All right, we can have different choices here too.
I know. There's room for the host to disagree, as the theme song says. All right, Casey. Okay. That's peach.
I like that for peach. That feels good.
Yeah, me too.
All right, good ginkgo, good peach.
Yeah. Okay, Casey. Next.
What do we got?
We got the villain of the piece.
Oh, no.
Bowser. Bowser is I suppose he's like a turtle, but he's also sort of a dinosaur.
Yeah, it's like with spikes on the shell and everything. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, he's a turtle. He's a turtle.
Okay.
He breathes fire.
He's
of
very
course.
large.
He's big. He's big in diameter.
I'm imagining like some old Crummelts kind of tree, like a spiky juniper that's growing up so high in elevation that it's been battered and it's very spiky.
Yeah.
Half dead, half alive.
Okay.
But like not enjoying that it's half dead, half alive, and just kind of is pissed off that it's stuck in its place where it is.
Just exists in misery.
Yeah, which I would think that would be something like a Sierra juniper is the one that I think of. Because they grow in these kind of crummeltsy things. I'm also thinking of a bristlecone pine.
Sure.
Because they have those like spiky kind of like I'm half dead.
Yeah.
But generally people see them as like these stoic things, like these Prometheus, these Methuselahs.
Yeah.
Where I'm imagining it more like it's upset that it's at the place that it is.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think Bowser is probably bitter,
because
so. The bullied bully.
Yes, exactly. Okay, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine a tree that doesn't like where it's growing, which maybe that's why this is not a good descriptor.
Well, I think we should settle there and move on.
Okay, I think that's fair.
It's a bit of an I. We're giving it an incomplete.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Casey, let's end here with the big man himself.
Yoshi.
Toad. Oh, what? We made the same joke. Mario.
Oh, the old Mario.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
Woohoo!
Very good. Here's my niche Mario impression.
Okay.
When Mario falling from a great height and then smashing against the ground. Wah! Ooh!
That was beautiful.
Thanks. Mario is adventuresome. He's brave.
Yeah.
He is aerobatic.
Yeah,
he's incredibly fit.
Really, even for a plumber, it's just surprising.
Yeah. Yes, he's a plumber. He's he's the star of the show.
Wears red often.
Yes,
yeah.
he wears red, but unless he has one of his many costumes.
Yes.
Yep. He all sorts of caps and fire flowers and things that transform him into something else.
Yes.
That's maybe an interesting. He wears many masks.
Yes, exactly. So honestly, what could it be?
Oh my God,
Alex, what do you got?
Sugi.
I was thinking Sugi too.
Because of all the cultivars.
There's so many cultivars. You can be a different thing.
Yeah. He's the main character.
Yeah.
Everybody loves him.
It does. That is main character. Ooh, that feels good. Oh, but I want something with the color red. But I just can't think of something that has the color red. I can think of the Japanese maple. That's the one that comes to my brain.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of red cultivars of that.
Yeah.
But
it's Japanese.
But it's a side character. It's forced into the main character role.
You mean in the way that it grows it's an understory tree.
Exactly,
right.
Exactly.
But it's very popular.
Exactly. It's super popular. It's like the most popular understory tree.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I'm liking Japanese maple here, Kate.
I kind of feel like it's good. And they grow really well. They have the right color. There's 1,000 different varieties. They grow in every different kind of way.
Yeah, that's feeling good to me.
Okay.
All right. Mario's the Japanese maple.
Mario's the Japanese maple.
Hey, that was Family Tree Mario edition. To that we say, woohoo! Casey, it's time for a completely arbitrary Q&A. This week, our question comes from the Patreon, as it always does, Casey. from Alyssa Hoyt.
Hello, Alyssa Hoyt, longtime listener. I believe we've had Alyssa around for quite a while.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Looks like July 2021, Alyssa Hoyt joined the Patreon.
That's what I'm talking about.
Alyssa says, "Hi, Casey and Alex. I was cleaning my house the other day and wondered where the term spruce things up came from.
Oh, yeah.
What is it about spruce trees or wood that makes people connect them to the idea of cleaning or refreshing something? What other tree-related idioms are you aware of? Thanks."
That is so lovely.
That is a great question, Alyssa. Alyssa probably knowingly tickled our etymology fancy. Casey, I read you this question and you lit up because you said, Justin Davies covered that.
Yes.
Justin Davies, the woodworking influencer on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube.
Yeah.
A smart chap and a nice fellow. Hi, Justin.
Justin, we love you.
So here's the trajectory that this term took.
Yeah, this is great because one thing I like about this is that this is kind of your realm. We love it, but your specific thing, Alex, is the etymology of stuff.
That's true, Casey. I do love etymology. Okay, so here it is, Casey. You may think that the term sprucing up comes from spruce trees. Nah, opposite.
Yeah.
The word spruce was the word spruce predates the term spruce tree. They don't predate the trees themselves.
Yeah, it's like, wow, what? They found it etched into an ancient fossil spruce. And they're like, this is the name.
Spruce trees were founded in 1903. So the word actually comes from Prussia, which is a nation that is no longer with us. Prussia, a shorthand for Prussia, was Prusse back in the 14th century, Casey. Prusse turned into spruce, as these things often do.
Yeah, well, so what Justin said is that in Polish, they would call it Zeprus. So Zeprus, Z meaning from Prussia, was spruce. That's what it sounded like to English ears.
Great. That's amazing, actually. Yeah. So spruce originally just meant referencing Prussia, right? Little shorthand. So in Prussia in the 14th century, they were on the cutting edge of... No, you know what? I'm going to move it up a little bit. I'm going to say 16th century.
Ooh, modern.
They were on the cutting edge of leather goods, Casey.
Hot.
So much so that Prussia sort of became synonymous with fashion and just looking very neat and tidy in your physical appearance, right?
I see, yeah.
So here's a quote from this thing called "A Quip for an Upstart Courtier, a quaint dispute between cloth breeches and velvet breeches," from 1592, Casey.
Oh, my God.
By Robert Greene. "A fellow briskly apparelled in a black taffeta doublet and a spruce leather jerkin with Christfall buttons." Crystal buttons, excuse me, not Christfall. So spruce leather jerkin.
I see.
Now it's being used as an adjective.
To spruce. To spruce something up.
No, now this is an adjective to describe the leather jerkin. That leather jerkin is spruce.
Jesus, I was literally describing a verb. God, I'm a dumbass.
Casey.
Jeez.
So then it turned into an adjective. You call something spruce to allude that it is neat and tidy and smart.
I see.
You're
Yeah,
smartly
yeah.
dressed. You're very spruce today.
So it'd be almost like saying, "Oh, you look very Prussian right now."
Yes.
Like, you look of Prussia. You look Zeprus.
Yes, you look very spruce. So spruce moved from being an adjective describing leather goods to a verb.
Gotcha.
And meaning the same thing, essentially, to make something look smart and neat.
And tidy.
Yes.
Yeah, you spruce it up.
That's right. The first mention of sprucing up actually comes in Sir George Etherge's restoration drama.
Oh, yeah. I know the one.
The Man of Mode.
Yeah, The Man of Mode.
From 1676. Do you actually know this?
No, of course.
I would not have been surprised.
You
really.
wouldn't have? Oh, God.
No, I don't think so.
I would have been great if I did just have that in my back pocket. Oh, yeah, The Man of Mode. Yeah, I saw that the other day.
Your interests are vast. And he says in The Man of Mode, "I took particular notice of one that is always spruced up with a deal of dirty sky-colored ribbon.
Wow.
The spelling and all this shit is fascinating.
This is what, when did that come out?
This is 1676.
Wow, yeah. They didn't quite standardize spelling, I think, at that point.
It was all phonetic, right?
Yeah.
Spruced here is very, I will say, smartly spelled SPRUC''D.
Oh,
Spruced.
yeah. Spruced.
Which is kind of what you do when it's like, it's not an official verb, you know?
Exactly.
You kind of, it's like a very like colloquial way to spell it.
Yeah, you need to get rid of a syllable maybe.
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
In 20th century America, the term spruce up took on a new lease of life, this article says, with a slightly modified meaning. It began to be used to mean to tidy up or refurbish in particular.
Yeah, okay.
A counterpart to the English spring clean.
That's how I've always known it. And I always thought that it was like as things melt, the spruce trees like grow anew. So it's like you were making something grow anew. But I guess I never thought through why they would have chosen the spruce tree.
Right.
In this case, Justin references that they generally grow a bunch of spruce in Prussia.
Right.
So that's where it kind of came from.
It's just a connection.
Yeah. They said to spruce things up would be to make it look like, them over there with all those spruce trees.
Right.
So, yeah. So it's kind of
the term for spruce tree came after the term for a smartly dressed Prussian man in leather doublet.
Well said, Alex.
So
smartly dressed Prussian man in a leather doublet.
Hell yeah. It's my kink. So
That's my kink.
up until this 20th century kind of modification of the term, Casey, sprucing up had been explicitly reserved for people and their clothes. So it was only in the 1900s in America where we started using it for your home. Spruce up the living room or the sitting room.
That's so funny.
Or the parlor.
Yeah.
Many of the early references to sprucing up also refer to adding ribbons to clothing.
Okay.
To really spruce yourself up, in quotes, you need preferably a German leather jacket.
Always. I mean, that's the preference today is a German leather jacket.
It's got to be German.
Most people know that.
And then there's like a picture of a Nazi general next to this. I don't love that.
Maybe they're wearing a German leather jacket, I suppose. Which is so to add to this is that the term picea, which is the scientific name for spruce, came initially from the Roman pix, which means pitch. So
okay, so that's unrelated.
Exactly. So Pisces, it's the name of a pitchy pine. So that is, I think my guess is that they would call these weird trees that looked kind of like what we'd expect a pine, but back then they would see this and they wouldn't know botanically what the difference was.
Right.
They would just see it's a slightly different thing, so they'd say, "Oh, well, that's the pitchy pine."
Because it's very it's like a pine, but it's very pitchy.
Yeah, that's a piscis. Yeah. And then piscis comes from Picea. I swear to God, it's literally Picis. I'm not trying to make another Jurgen joke.
One of your classic urine jokes.
It's what I know.
Rule of fours, and it's got to be urine. Thank you so much, Alyssa Hoyt, for sending in that question. We love etymology, we love trees, and when they come together, boy, is it a treat. And if you have a question for us about anything to do with trees, join the Patreon at the $3 tier. That's $3 a month. The Q&A, Quercus and Alder tier. Above that is the Arboretum, where you get 2 bonus episodes a month about a host of different topics. Above that, our crown glory, the Cone of the Month Club. It's the reason our Patreon exists. $10 a month, and you get a unique die-cut cone sticker sent to your mailbox every month. We hire an artist every month to illustrate a different species of cone. So they're on all these different styles, Casey, by different fabulous artists. We print them locally here in Portland, Oregon. We ship them around the globe. Wherever you live, we will get your Cone of the Month Club cones to you. That's $10 a month, and it's the best way to support this podcast. If the information and joy you get out of this podcast is worth $10 a month, we would love for you to sign up. Above that is Arbortrary Plus, our new live stream tier. You get 2 live streams a month, one with Casey and I about a bunch of different stuff. There's visuals and you can just see our faces talk, which could be weird for you, and interact with us in the chat. And then one of those live streams is just me streaming a tree or nature-themed video game.
That's right.
Like a cozy little Twitch night just for you. Above that is our highest tier. It is generous admission. It starts at $20 a month. If you really want to go above and beyond for this podcast and give us that extra little something, that's a very generous, cool way to do it. We will just be eternally grateful for your help, and all of these tiers help keep this podcast afloat. And make it so Casey and I don't have to have real jobs.
Exactly. What do you mean, Alex? This is a real job.
This is a real job. I have to come to terms with the fact that this is a real job.
I have worked harder on this podcast than I have on almost every other thing, except from every other thing. Yeah, that's about it.
Hands down, same.
Yeah.
And I've also enjoyed it about 1 million times more than any job I've ever had.
Oh, it's so much more satisfying to talk with people about something we love and do our loving work, and then have other people be like, this is sweet, keep going.
Yes.
There's nothing more satisfying or uplifting.
Yes.
So.
If you have something nice to say to us about the podcast, please email us. It really helps morale. You can email us at arbortrarypod at gmail.com at ARBORTRARY pod, P-O-D, at gmail.com, or go to that website, arbortrarypod.com. You can find additional readings. You can find merch. We have a brand new, beautiful print with artwork by Bonnie Dutch. And I put together the other graphics, and it's a 9x12, and it will go perfectly on your wall.
It's extraordinarily well done.
That's right. You can see our silly faces every day. Casey Clapp.
Alex Crowson.
What an episode.
Hey, this wraps up our discussion on kind of forestry and forest-related things.
Wow.
We will be talking about more, and also on the Patreon, we're going to be talking about a bunch of things related to forestry that we just couldn't quite cover.
Yeah.
So if you want to get more info and hear about different kinds of forestry, how we can do it better, new ideas, new ways, maybe think about signing up.
That's a great idea, Casey.
Until then, next week, Alex.
Yes.
Got a whole other kid and caboodle coming.
Oh boy, am I excited, Casey. Well, I'm excited for next week. I'm excited for 2 weeks from now, and I'm really excited for 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, and you know what I'm really excited for?
Whoa.
4 weeks from now.
Well, okay, you know what I'm really excited for?
No.
5 weeks from now.
Well, Alex, what I am excited about, like way more, is the 6th week from now.
Oh, that's great, Casey.
That's the one that I'm really like.
Well, I see me, I'm kind of excited for the 7th week from now.
Well, it's the 7th week, Alex, is going to be nothing. Completely Arbortrary is produced by Alex Crowson and Casey Clapp.
Our artwork is by Jillian Barthold, and our music is by Aves and the Mini Vandals.
And you can support the podcast at patreon.com/arbortrarypod.
And find additional readings at completelyarbitrary.com. Thanks for listening.